I know that this background is a little bit different from what you're used to seeing on the channel. I'm out in Pennsylvania right now working as a videographer and a photographer at a summer camp. I'm determined to try and put out some videos whilst I'm here. I shot a load of film before I flew. I've got a backlog of images that I need to share, so I'm going to try and create some videos throughout the summer going over all of the film that I shot before I flew. Oh, and also I'm just reading some notes off my phone and using this little makeshift microphone mount, so it's going to be a pretty conversational type of video. There might be some cuts when the sun goes away or I mess up, but we'll get there. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about my first time shooting Kodak Gold in 120 medium format. Kodak Gold in 35mm format has been my go-to film stock really since I've started shooting film. It's been a fairly cheap and consumer level stock that I can sort of just throw in a camera or in my contacts and shoot without worrying about spending a load of money per image. So that and Portra 400 have really been the two 35mm stocks that I've used the most. I've always enjoyed the slightly warmer color palette that it has. I tend to edit my images slightly warmer than they perhaps were in real life anyway, just because I like that look. And so I've always preferred it to Portra 400 or Fuji's offerings, which tend to be more cold and slightly greener, bluer images. And so when Kodak announced that they were releasing a 120 format of Kodak Gold, I was obviously super excited and really wanted to try it out. Kodak's other offerings also just keep going up in price and seem to be getting just more ridiculously expensive. So Kodak Gold has always been the more affordable option that I've tended to lean towards shooting just to try and save money while shooting 35mm film. So I was intrigued to see if the 35mm format, the same characteristics would carry over to the 120 format, especially as it is so much cheaper than Portra and other professional offerings that Kodak have in 120. Kodak Gold right now I think is $45 or £45 for a 5-pack, which is what Portra seemed to be like 5 years ago. So it is just a way more affordable film generally across all of the formats. I decided to take a trip to visit my friend Joe down in Dorset where he lives and shoot a few rolls just for the first time to see what Kodak Gold was like. I took my new medium format film camera, the Pentax 6.7, which if you want to see a first impressions video, was actually the last video that I put out, so I'll leave a little link down in the description and obviously a card up the top as well for you to check out. Joe and I did manage to shoot some video clips as well while we were out, so I have got a little bit of B-roll to share from the shoot. Joe was testing out a brand new lens that he just picked up, which was a DZO Pictor Zoom 20-55. So any clips that have me taking images in them, they were shot with Joe on the Pocket 6K Pro with that new lens, and as ever, all of my stuff was shot on the Pocket 6K Pro, and I think for this video I took the Sigma 18-35. I'm going to play all of the images and the video clips from the day in a little sequence now, and then afterwards I'll talk a little bit about Kodak Gold in 120.
Coming, I can feel it. The breeze brings goosebumps to my skin. Tonight
So Kodak Gold in 120, I actually really like it and really like the images that I got with it. It had more dynamic range than I was expecting, probably a little bit less than Portra, but it still performed really well, even in super contrasty backlit scenarios like the sunset that we shot. The grain is actually super fine and the image was comparably sharp to Portra and what I'm used to shooting with medium format. I do think that it carried over some of the characteristics of 35mm Kodak Gold. It was noticeably warmer than the Portra that I've shot in medium format before, which is obviously the predominant characteristic of Kodak Gold that I've come to really enjoy with 35mm film, but it also had some really pleasant saturated greens that I wasn't expecting or really noticed before on the 35mm version of the film stock, but I really liked the look that it gave to the image. On the day, I shot a couple of images about an hour or so before sunset as we tried to find a place to park. This one through the trees I particularly like. The greens have a really nice warm glow to them and the way the light shines through the trees I really like. We then found a car park that had some beautiful views down towards the bay, and that's where I took a few of my favourite images from the day. I took a couple of these campers parked in the car park and a few of some nice golden hour light that was hitting the hills as we looked down towards the bay. The rest of the images I took as we walked down towards the beach, just of any particular viewpoint, interesting composition or interesting light that I saw as we hiked. And then the last few shots I took as the sun set over the far side of the bay and we chatted to a couple of people camping looking down over the beach. This light in particular was especially harsh and contrasty as I was shooting almost straight into the sun, but I still think Gold held up nicely in the highlights and kept plenty of detail in the shadows. So overall, as I said, I really liked the results that I got from shooting Kodak Gold for the first time in medium format 120 film. And it's definitely a film stock that I think I'll be mixing in with Portra 400 as my go-to film stocks when I want to shoot some medium format. Particularly for the price, it just makes it a far more reasonable option. You can pick up 10 rolls of Kodak Gold almost for the price of just 5 Portra 800 rolls right now, so it's just a way more economical option. Although it does seem to be out of stock pretty much everywhere right now, which I guess goes to show just how popular it's been since it was released. I've also shot some portraits on Kodak Gold 120, and that video will be coming out at some point in the near future. But that's all for this one. If you've enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more from me, maybe consider subscribing. Stay safe, stay happy everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.